where you're calling from, or what organization you are representing this after. So we always love seeing our regular positive leaders attending our sessions. We have Jenny from Mental Health Hour Manila. Thank you so much for attending the past webinars this year. We also have Angela from the National Teachers College. And I'm seeing a lot of first time names in our participant list. So please feel free to share with us. Ay, ayan, 2024 pa pala. Grabe, 2 years na. But thank you for always being with us. Baka next time kailangan ikaw naman na yung maging resource speaker din. Let's talk about that. We'll reach out. We also have RC. RC is always attending as well. Ito na yung mga talagang positive leaders of positive workplaces. We have Gina joining from DDT Construct Incorporated. And while we're waiting for other participants to share with us, can you type in one here in our chat box if this is your first time attending a Positive Workplaces free webinar? Simply type in one. Yan, so we're already seeing first timers here. I know this is a unique topic. I think we have not covered this before, but we know that it's one of the skills that we need, especially in times of crisis in business. So welcome to everyone who's here joining us for the first time. Don't worry, we'll give you a quick introduction of who Positive Workplaces is. But before that, we'd love to check in with each and every one of you. Okay, and I'm so excited to see what your answers are to our check-in question. Okay, so our check-in this afternoon is, if your wallet could talk right now, what do you think would it say about your spending habits? If your wallet could talk right now, what do you think would it say about your spending habits? So you can scan the QR code you can see on the screen, or just click on the link that Kathy shared in our chat box. You can also answer in the chat box if it's difficult for you to open Mentimeter. Ayan, may nagsabi na ng call 911. Naghihiga kapatid. So while we're waiting for your answers, we're also streaming this session on YouTube. So if you have colleagues or friends who will not be able to join us today, or mahirapan silang pumasok sa Zoom because of technical difficulties, because it's also raining, please feel free to tell them that they can access our session in Positive Workplaces YouTube channel. So we can also share the link in the chat box later. Yan. So may mga answers na tayo. Very fun. Work hard, gastos harder. Yung isa, tama na yan. Magastos ka, tama na. Ikalma mo, girl. Yung iba naman, hashtag deserve mo yan. For some, it will say, stop. It hurts me so much. Yan, deserve mo yan, pero hinay-hinay lang. Tigil na sa parcel. Funny to, spending level, maleta. Karapatan, coin purse. Asystole naman yung isa. Wow, very technical ha. Enough is enough. Be mindful sa expenses, pero okay. Pag sa pagkain. Ako rin, feeling ko sa akin, ikalma mo yan. Be a better man. Keep it up. Wala naman akong ginagawang masama. Wala, wala, wala. Okay, so for those who just joined and entered the room, we are doing a quick check-in before we officially start. If your wallet could talk right now, what do you think it would say about your spending habit? Ito talaga description. Go lang ng go! Kala mo lang meron pero wala na. Ay, gusto ko to. Akala mo lang wala pero meron, meron. Very interesting mix. The audacity. In fairness ha, iba-ibang iba-ibang phrases pero same meaning na ikalma natin ang pag-spend natin. May ama ka na te, may tama ka na B. Sure ka ba dyan? What else? So I think may mga pumasok pa. Check in with us. Click on the link that you can see in the chat box or just scan the QR code you can see on the screen and answer if your wallet could talk right now. What do you think it would say about your spending habit? Gusto ko to. Kaninong wallet to? Book that flight. Uy, gising. Hindi ka anak ng mafia boss. 'Di ba? Yan yung mga sinasabi nila sa atin whenever we're about to get a purchase or kung magde-decide tayo, papasok ba ako sa work today or hindi. Okay, so keep your answers coming in and we'll start in 30 seconds. Very interesting, ha? So ito yung part sa spenders. Kanina mas serious yung naisip naming check-in question. Pero naisip namin, parang fun naman yung check-in natin. Ano ba yung pwedeng sabihin sa atin ng mga wallet natin if they could talk right? Disney princess ka ba, te? Anak ka ba ng contractor? In fairness, walang nagsabi nun na anak ka ba ng contractor? Deserve mo naman yan. Mabait ka naman eh. Ito din, I think a lot of us will say God will provide. Okay, thank you so much for joining us in that very fun check-in question. And now I think we are ready to start. Okay, so for today's P webinar, we are going to talk about selling in a crisis, practical moves for Filipino sales teams when budgets are tight. And just to quickly introduce us, because we have newcomers in the room. So I'm Gabby, and I'm the Learning Operations and Design Supervisor of Positive Workplaces. And I will be your host for this afternoon. Together in the room with me is Kathy Rivera, our Learning and Development Associate, as well as Sab Celestial, our Training and Development Intern. They will be assisting us in the back end to ensure a smooth learning process. So please feel free to say hi to them in the chat box. And if you have any questions or if you need any assistance during our session, please feel free to send us a direct message or just send it in the chat box. And we are all from Positive Workplaces, where our mission is to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And we're able to do that through what we call the positivity ripples. And it honestly all starts with you. That is why we are very big on increasing the capability of each and every one of us so that as we practice those skills and apply it to ourselves, we can influence others and we can influence cultures to create those positive workplaces. So just a few reminders before we start. We hope that you have another device or just be ready to go to another link because we are going to use Mentimeter again this afternoon. If you have or if you prefer taking notes, please feel free to prepare a pen and paper. Or kung meron kayong mga digital note-taking tools, please feel free to use them as well. And we also highly encourage engagement with the audience, but please be respectful in our chat box. And please treat our chat box like a learning tool where you get to express your thoughts, your opinions about the topic But please refrain from sharing pictures, comments, or links that are not related to our discussion. Just a quick check. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can follow so far? There you go. So apart from the chat box, we are also utilizing what we call Pigeonhole for our questions. So not only do we need to share our insights, but if we have questions along the way or even as early as now, you can already start scanning the QR code you can see on the screen or go to pigeonhole.at and put in the passcode TW selling or just click on the link that we're going to share in the chat box. So if you have any questions or at any point in the discussion, may maisip kayo na, hey, I want to ask this to our resource speaker this afternoon, please feel free to type it in Pigeonhole so that when we reach the question and answer portion of our session, ready na yung question nyo doon. Okay? And last but not least, of course, the evaluation form. Yes, we do issue a certificate of attendance, but you will only receive it once you answer the evaluation form that will be released at the end of this webinar. And once we give the link to the evaluation form, please check the title, the email address, and the name that you will type doon sa form natin because whatever email address and whatever name you put, yun po yung magre-reflect sa certificate, and that certificate will be sent to the email address that you typed in. Okay, can I get a heart reaction if that's clear? And hopefully we don't get emails na nagsasabi na, ay, mali po yung email address na nalagay ko. Make sure to double, triple check it before clicking submit. Okay, and in the event na tama naman talaga yung email address na nilagay nyo, and that is a valid concern, please feel free to send us an email at engage@positiveworkplaces.org if you encounter any problems with the evaluation forms or the certificates. And we are only going to entertain inquiries regarding this up to 1 week after the event. And I think that's the last reminder we have for you this afternoon. And we're ready to start our webinar session. So this month, we chose the theme Under Pressure, Leading and Working Through Uncertainty because of the poly crisis we are going through right now. Last week, Dr. Camille Yusay taught us some practical tips on how we can live out the human side of leadership. She gave us tools on how to assess our personal and organizational mental health needs and gave us some actionable steps we can take to make sustainability possible. Today, we are going to talk about selling in a crisis. So if you've been working in sales, account management, or any client-facing role, you've probably felt the impact of the past few months. Rising costs, tighter budgets, delayed decisions, and conversations that seem to end with, let's revisit this when things settle down. While economic conditions are beginning to improve, many clients are still being careful with their spending. And in moments like these, it's easy to fall into one of two traps. One is pushing too hard and damaging the relationship, or we step back so much that we disappear from the client's radar altogether. The good news is that there are evidence-based ways to stay connected, to build trust, and remain top of mind even when the budgets are tight. So in today's session, Selling in a Crisis, Practical Moves for Filipino Sales Teams When Budgets Are Tight, Jean Christine or JC Henares will introduce the STAY or STAY framework. This is a practical approach grounded in behavioral science and insights from millions of real sales conversations. So whether you're in sales, account management, customer success, or leadership, you learn actionable strategies to maintain strong relationships during uncertain times. And of course, position yourself and your organization for success when opportunities begin to open up again. So I guess we're ready to start. Let us call on JC and let's give her a warm round of applause. Hi, JC. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Gabby. Thank you so much for setting up the session so well. Parang hindi na ako kailangan mag-intro, ano? Hi, everyone. It's really good to be with you today. So we're talking about selling in a crisis. Hold on. I'll just share my screen. Okay,
Yeah.
para we can all see it. Let me just share this. We're live kasi. Pasensya na. Ayan. Hold on. Okay, can you guys see it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so from earlier when we were having, very funny check-ins, I hope the others were also able to come at that time, no? Now selling in a crisis, very serious yung topic. And I'll be honest why I gave it that name, okay? The session, this name, like selling in a crisis. It's because really that's pretty much where a lot of us have been living in this year, right? So clients really are going quiet all of a sudden, budgets are frozen. And before, when they used to be really, responsive with your texts or with your emails, all of a sudden, medyo slower na yung pagbalik ng mga messages. And deals that used to take like maybe just one meeting, ngayon you need about 4 meetings to actually be able to close them. I'm sure you guys can relate to that. But let me set the expectations early, okay? This is not going to be a motivational talk about hustling harder or never taking no for an answer, guys. Honestly, this is actually quite the opposite. It's about what actually works, just like what Gabby said earlier. When your client is genuinely scared and budgets are really frozen. So if you will allow to give me, your 1 hour or so this afternoon, I'll give you 4 practical moves that you can actually use in your next client conversation. Okay ba yun, guys? Okay, can you give me a thumbs up if I'm going in clear? You can hear me well? Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, before anything, I want to see actually who's in the room with me today. I know earlier we had a check-in with Gabby, but there were some who actually came in a little late. So if we can, so just like what Gabby said, if you can actually have your devices ready, anytime, because mahilig akong magtanong, mahilig akong mag-ask ng reaction, because I don't want to be just talking to my Zoom and feel like I'm alone. I know that I think, are 144 right now. So I want you to tap your Zoom reaction. Hold your horses. I'll share with you some directions, no? So if you are from Metro Manila, if you see this reaction, the one that actually that's a clap reaction. If you are from Metro Manila, can you drop me that Zoom reaction of a clap so that I can see, oh, wow. Okay, we have quite a lot of people from Metro Manila. Thank you very much for giving me your afternoon, this afternoon. How about giving me a confetti? I think this is the tada reaction. If you are somewhere else in the Philippines, can you give me this reaction, please? Okay, quite a lot. And if you can actually type in the chat where you're calling in from, para lang ma-feel natin na nationwide tayo. Alam mo yun? Parang TV lang, no? Parang, wow, oh yeah, Trisha from Davao, hello. Oh, Jonas, Bicol, yes, okay. So thank you guys for being here. Laguna, oh, Valenzuela, Cebu, wow, Zamboanga, Romblon. Thank you guys, Shakia, Aaron. Thank you for being here with me today. No, instead of doing something else, you're actually here spending your afternoon with us. Now, ito naman yung last question ko. Give me a heart if you've actually heard a version of hindi na muna from your client in the last 30 days. Hindi na muna o kaya pwede bang next quarter na lang? Or can we talk about this some other time? Ang daming heart, namumula yung screen natin, guys. Okay, so this is actually my way, this check-in is actually my way of telling you, you were not alone. Okay, we've actually heard that version in the last 30 days. And I just want you to do this, no? Pat on your shoulder na, you're not alone. Okay. I know I cannot see you, but I just wanted to say that you are not alone. Okay. We've actually heard it. All of us nag-read yung ating screen, no? Now, aside from that, I'm sure before anything else, no, you want to know why I'm actually the one talking here. So let's get that out of the way very quickly. Just a little bit of introduction on why I'm the one here talking about selling in a crisis. So for more than 20 years, I actually sold Frontline, okay, high stakes B2B at GMA Network, and also with a Singapore-based edtech company, which really means that I've personally heard hindi na muna more times than my probably my fingers can count. And I've felt that exact stomach drop when my biggest account goes crickets. Yeah, I'm sure you know that feeling, no? So the things that you will actually see in my slides are not just my slides. They are actually moments that I lived in the past when I was really, doing selling and doing B2B and all of that. And since then, I've really spent years studying why it happens, the psychology of it, the strategy behind it, a lot of it, mostly at AIM. So today is really not just about theory. It's 20 years of me doing this, plus the research that finally explained why I'd been getting it right and also wrong. Okay, so that's genuinely enough about me. So a while ago, you shared with me where you're calling in from. But aside from that, I also want to know what you're thinking. Okay, and we're gonna do this with a quick game because we're quite a lot here. So three statements lang. I'll just be putting up a statement. You read it, and then you type it in the chat if you think it is a fact or a myth. Ganun lang, very simple. You read the statement. We only have three statements. Just put in fact if you think that it's a fact or a myth. Okay ba yan? Clear? Can I get a thumbs up, guys, if the instruction was clear? All right, thank you very much. Okay, the first statement is this. Fact or myth, Filipino consumers have officially shifted into defensive spending, deliberately postponing non-essential purchases. Please drop in your answer in the chat. Okay, a lot of you are actually saying fact. Pinakauna si Joshua, fastest finger. Okay, everybody is, walang nagsasabi ng myth ha. Okay, so this is actually a fact. So consumer confidence has actually been deeply negative this year. And I think it's not, it's not something surprising because we know already that, this US-Iran war, the prices are going up. And economists literally have a name for this. So they actually named it defensive spending. So that's straight from BMI Fitch solution this year. So the first thing I want you to hear when your client pulls back is that the market is talking. It's not you. Okay? So, ganun ulit to. It's not you, it's the market. Okay? That's our first fact or myth. Our second statement, guys, thank you very much for participating, is this. Fact or myth, most deals that stall today are being lost to your competitor. What do you think? Is this a fact or a myth? Can you drop in your answers in our chat? Oh, si Joshua pa din. Ang galing. Ang bilis ah. Okay, Jaisel said fact. Nolan said fact. Okay. So a lot of you, well, so far, have actually said fact. But, ayan, meron pang iba pa. Ayan, si Trisha, myth. Okay. Tignan natin kung sino ang sumagot ng tama. It is actually a myth. So tama si Trisha, tama si Jobel, and it's actually a big one. 40 to 60% of stalled deals are actually lost to no decision at all. The client just really freezes. So can you imagine? You're just really losing, not really to a competitor, but really to just clients' indecision. That's from Jolt Effect. They actually studied 2.5 million sales conversation, and even Forrester actually found the same. So your real competitor isn't actually another vendor. It's indecision. Okay? So nice, no, some facts that nice lang to know also as well. And it's backed by research. Our last fact or myth. For our clients, the pain of losing feels about twice as strong as the pleasure of an equal gain. Meaning, they just don't want to lose. Ganun lang, parang it's much better for them not to lose. Is this a fact or a myth? Okay, so a lot are also saying it's a fact. Walang nagsabi ng myth, ha? Okay, Ellen also said fact. Logili, tama ba yun? Said fact as well. So let's see. Let's reveal the answer. it is actually a fact. And it's also a big one because it's called loss aversion from Kahneman and Tversky, the research that won the Nobel Prize. So a scared client isn't actually weighing how good you are. They're just trying not to lose. And once you see it, you actually see it everywhere. It's why we stay in our job even when we've outgrown it. It's also why teams actually resist change and why your client actually also freezes. It's really loss aversion. And we'll be talking more about that later on. So, 'di ba? Tapos na tayo sa fact or myth natin in just 2 minutes, no? So we've actually figured out that, it's not you, it's the market. When things like this happen, your real competitor is actually clients in decision. And fear has a name, which we now call loss aversion. So I'll be actually sharing with you my story also later on. But before that, just a little bit of housekeeping, if you don't mind, so that we are able to get the most out of this session. So our norms for the day, just like what Gabby said earlier, and for those who came in a little bit late, please have your devices ready because I really love engaging you guys with reactions or you dropping in some comments in the chat. I'd love to see all of that in, and it will be nice if you have your phones and your laptops ready with you. No sensitive data, please. I know sometimes you want us to really feel the gravity of the situation, especially since we're talking about selling, but let's keep all of those data out of the session because this is a public session. And we're both experts. Anytime that I prompt you to give some, some of your ideas, especially later, I'll be sharing with you a framework. Please do so. All right. And this is going to be a show and do. What I mean is that I will share with you a framework and then you will also do it on your own. Okay. So that's our session norms for today. And just so you know how the session is designed, we are going to answer 3 questions. Very simple lang. First one, why your clients are not saying no to your product. They're actually saying no to a moment that will actually pass. So, diba, that's nice to actually hear na, this crisis is here right now, but it's not where we're going. It's actually just, a place in time, right? And then we will also talk about what framework we will use so that we can keep the conversations alive, even when clients tell us, wag muna, hindi na muna, 'di ba? And all those versions of hindi na muna, we will have a framework to actually be present, 'di ba, with our clients. So, and also in the end, the most important part is the application. How do we actually apply it so that when budgets open, when the floodgates are open, you're the first in line. That's what's the most important, right? So this is exactly how we're going to tackle it, no? And these are the questions that we will be answering for today. And also, just letting you know your commitments for today. These are your commitments to yourself, and not to me. So reframe the crisis as a context, applying the framework to any client conversation, especially when budgets are tight. Respond to budget objections later on. We'll also talk about curiosity instead of applying pressure, and also leave with one specific action because you're already giving me the afternoon. So please make it count, right? Okay. All right. So okay na ba yun? So with that, guys, I will now be taking you back through time. Since we're talking about crisis, no, I'll just go back to that time that all of us know, not the crisis this year, but the biggest crisis we've all gone through and powered through. Remember this? Streets like this never really happened until what? When is this, guys? In 2020, that is the pandemic. So the whole world, just really stopped, right? I was in GMA Network back then, and my job was really to sell television. And here's what you need to know if you're not familiar with TV. I'll give you a little background now. It's the single most expensive thing that you can actually buy in media. Just to give you a reference point, our 30-seconder material in prime time meaning at night, it will cost you almost 700,000 for just a 30-seconder, one time. Okay, so that's how expensive it was. And picture my situation. It was the pandemic, everyone was very, scared. I'm selling the most expensive product in the entire industry at the exact moment when clients are actually terrified to spend a peso. And in fact, a lot of shops have actually closed at that time. No, so you can just imagine how hard it was, right? Especially since I was selling something very costly and everybody's so scared. Now, here's the thing, even if you haven't sold airtime in your life, I want you to I guess understand where I am, no? So we know hard times as Filipinos, whether it's the pandemic or let's say we've had let's say a calamity and then everything shut down. Or honestly, just watching this year, no, when prices are really climbing and climbing, at some point you've had to actually sell something that mattered right when people got scared to spend. If you felt that, you actually know exactly what I'm talking about. So there I was, most expensive product in the business, every client suddenly scared, but my job was still to sell. Otherwise, I lose my job if I don't, right? So let me put you in my shoes. I want you to vote. Okay. So at that time, I shared with you my story. Clients were scared. Our job was to sell. What do you think we did first? Okay, drop it in the chat. If you think letter A, we kept pushing. B, we backed off and waited, waited for the pandemic to end. And then C, we slashed our prices, nagbigay kami ng discount. Or letter D, we just really stopped pitching and started paying attention. What do you think? Oh, Trisha here. Fastest ano natin, oh, D. Yeah. Oh, may nagsabi pala ng Strata. Sorry, I didn't see that, Joshua. Yeah. Yeah, that was in Ortigas. Letter B. D mostly said D and B. Okay. Sharon said D. Okay. So any more? Yeah, okay. Letter D for Ed. So stop pitching. Most of you said we stopped pitching, and some of you said we backed off and waited. But, I want to be honest with you. What we did at that time, because, everything was still uncertain. Briley said A, C, and B. It's a combination of answers. What we actually did was A. We actually kept pushing. And really, I just really want to be honest with you. That's the first thing that we did. We pushed and pushed. And here's what I learned the hard way. Okay, pushing harder on a scared buyer almost never really works. 'Di ba? I mean, I think in one way or the other, you also saw yourself as a buyer, 'di ba? If you're scared, lalo na kung pipilitin ka, hindi talaga eh. You will just really say no. It just makes scared buyers more anxious and they will actually pull away faster. Okay, so that's what happened to me. No, so thank you for participating in this guessing game of what we actually did first now during the pandemic. Now, eto na yung next. Okay, so during the pandemic, at that time or before the pandemic, the Philippines was a TV-centric country. What I mean with that is that we're always on TV. Okay, even when somebody is cooking, meron pa ring TV, and then when we're having dinner, magkakasama yung pamilya, nagti-TV pa rin tayo. Pero during the pandemic, we actually saw some changes. Right? So from before na yan, magkakasama yung pamilya na nanonood. And then after that, during the pandemic, everybody just really wanted to entertain themselves in one way or the other because we were cooped up at home. We cannot go out. So si Daddy nanonood. This is when we actually discovered Netflix, right? Lagi tayo nasa Facebook. May TikTok pa nga, hindi ko pala nalagay dito yung TikTok. But 'di ba, parang naiiba-iba na yung mga gusto natin. So, what happened there was, yung audience namin sa TV, it actually moved. And when they moved to other platforms, the ad money also followed them. So away from us. Remember, I'm sales, di ba, of TV. So the ground was literally shifting under our feet while we were trying to sell. So, again, story vote na naman tayo. So now, what do you think we did when audiences moved online and the ad money also followed them away from us? What did we do? Is it we defended our turf? TV pa rin tayo, no? TV the way to go. Or letter B, ignore it. it's a fad, it's something that will pass. C, embrace the shift. And D, hope your clients stay loyal. Oh, daming sumagot na. C daw, embrace the shift. Offer new thing. Okay, there's one who said D. Ellen said, hope your big clients stay loyal. Joshua naman, combination, C and D. Right? Okay, and then si Michelle also, C and D. And then Ed and C, absolutely. Talagang sure na sure C. Ed and John Tuting. Okay. So dahil sure na sure ka, Ed and actually, tama ka. So we actually really did embrace the shift. So we went with C. We actually stopped defending TV like it was the only answer and really started meeting the audience wherever they actually were. So we got flexible. So can you imagine na TV network, tapos nagbebenta kami ng digital, bigla. Alam mo yon, parang we just really had to shift and really had to embrace it because it's now the new thing. That is where the audience is. So we really have to follow. And that one choice really changed everything for us. No, so it's really not just about flexibility. It's not the only secret sauce. There was one more thing, and it's the real reason some clients actually stayed with us season after season during that time of the pandemic. So what do you think actually kept them renewing with us? Aside from us, embracing the shift. What do you think? It's okay. A, holding firm the price. B, bending to meet their needs. Trisha, Jonas, B, Alvar, B. Okay, so parang mas madami ngayon ng B. Mukhang nagkakasundo kayo ngayon, guys, ah. It's bending to meet their needs, mostly. Oh, Briley said it's a combination of bending their needs and having the biggest audience. So just to reveal, it was actually this. The reason why they kept renewing with us season after season after we embraced the shift was because we were bending to meet their real needs. Okay. So we were being more flexible, we were being more human, and we actually stayed with them. So we met them where they were. If they said that, we have to go this route because this is where the audience is, where then we go there. And we also took care of the ones who actually took care of us also. Those who supported us, we also supported them too. And the part that still surprises people, even in the middle of the crisis, is that we came out with better positions in their budgets than before because of what we did. So it's not because we pushed. Initially, we did, right? Remember the story earlier. Initially, that's what we did. We pushed. But we learned the hard way. So we had to really adjust. We had to pivot because we bent to help them also survive because we were also going through the same thing. And I guess it's also the same for the crisis right now. It's not just, the crisis is not just hitting our clients, right? Tayo din eh. We're also hit by the crisis. So we have to be understanding. We have to go back to also being human. They're not just our clients after all. First, they're humans before they were our clients. And the more that I look back at it, the more I realize that the turning point wasn't really a tactic at all. It's something really quieter. And it really changed how I saw the job. So we didn't win by selling harder. We won by paying attention, getting flexible and really staying close while everybody else was scared and pulling away. And that's the framework that I want to hand to you guys. Okay. So if there's one thing that I want you to write down today, it's this, that whenever there's a crisis, your client isn't really saying no to your product. Sometimes kasi feeling natin it's personal, but really they're just, saying no to the moment. They're going through something. The crisis is a context. It is not the ceiling. It is, it's just raining right now, but that is not our destination. And we already know why. Remember from the fact versus myth, it's loss aversion. They are not weighing your value. They're just trying not to lose, especially during hard times. Now, here's the thing that the crisis actually made us forget. Sometimes we're too focused about the crisis. We're too focused that we're not able to hit our quota. we're too focused that, sobrang sales is just trickling in, no? We forget that we still have three things that we have going for us. What are those three things? Our skills, right? The first thing that you have is skill. You didn't actually lose it during the pandemic. So all of the things that you've actually learned, and unlearned, relearned in the years of you doing what you're doing, reading the room, building trust, knowing when to push and when to wait, all of that is still with you. Okay? Even when there's a crisis. Another thing that you didn't lose during the crisis are your relationships. You still have relationships with your clients, right? When everything else is uncertain, the relationships are the one thing that we hold on to. So meron pa rin tayong relationships sa kanila. And then even when there's a crisis, remember, this is not the first crisis that we've actually powered through. We've actually powered through so many already in the years that we've been doing this. So we actually have resilience, whether it's clients or ours. So when something like this happens, normally we're just, trying to figure things out together. And somewhere there, because I recalled and I remembered all of these three things, the job actually changed for me during the pandemic. I stopped trying to get something from my clients and started really trying to help them also go through the crisis. So when you do that, when you help your clients, when you make them feel that you're supporting them at this time because you're both going through something, the sales will naturally come after, almost like a thank you. I think that's the whole secret, really. Everything I'm about to give you right now is just how to do that on purpose. Okay? So look at this. The person, everything around this person is falling. And what is he doing? Is he running? Is he pushing the dominoes? It's not. He's just really standing and really staying. And that's the whole idea. There's a way to do it well. And I call this, just like what Gabby said earlier, the stay framework. So anytime that someone you depend on goes quiet under pressure, it actually works. So this is not only for the context of sales. Okay? Anytime, whether you're from HR, from ops, or leading a team, basta when there's relationships involved, when there's hesitation involved, this framework will actually work for you. Now, these four moves also work not just for frozen budgets, right? It can also work for clients who's gone silent for months. Let's say you email them like ang daming times, hindi sumasagot. This can also work. For those clients who are fishing for ideas, sometimes they're just mining ideas from you. This can also work. For those clients who are a little too rude, this can also work. Okay, so let's now unpack what STAY means, because these are actually steps for you to, have a guide when you're actually crafting something or when you're actually talking to your client. First is show up first. Okay, before you pitch anything, connect with their reality. Okay, what is happening with them? I mean, especially because we're going through the same crisis anyway. Why don't you ask them first before you ask them for what you need, right? A genuine question does more than any deck, right? Next is test the real constraint. Their default answer is always a budget is frozen. But really, if you try to dig deeper, if you try to ask more questions and really listen, okay, there's usually something specific. It's either there's no budget right now, but there might be budget next quarter. That's something that you should watch out for. Or right now, because there's a crisis, they need another extra step of approval. Those things matter, right? So that you know exactly how to position yourself in the conversation, especially if you are sales. Right? So first is show up. Don't start with your pitch yet. Connect first with them, and then test the real constraint, because the default is always budget is frozen. You have to uncover exactly what is the real constraint. And then after that, you adjust the ask, because this is you acknowledging that they are going through something. You being human, adjusting the ask Meaning when a client is actually scared, especially in a crisis like this, your job is really to lower the risk for them. So how do you do that? There are three things listed on the slide. The first one is shrink the ask. What do I mean by that? I'm not saying discounting, huh? I'm saying, for example, you're asking them to lock in for the year. Why don't you ask them to lock in first for 3 months? A sale is a sale, okay? If, let's say, you're asking them to go full in with a package, why don't you ask them, instead of a full package, maybe starter package muna, right? You get what I'm saying? Or maybe you're asking them, pwede bang 5 branches na yung gawin natin? Instead of doing that, why don't you ask them, maybe we can start first with your top branch, right? Thank you for that thumbs up, Anna. The other thing is sell the protection. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we say, oh, if you invest here, this will grow your sales by X%. But instead of saying that, why don't you say, this will, if you invest, this will protect your customers from drifting to your competitor, right? Selling the protection. Or instead of saying, you will boost efficiency if you invest in this, why don't you say, it will keep your team from burning out, right? You're speaking their language because they actually want to keep their team. Surfacing the cost. What does that mean? What does pausing over 6 months cost you? Because they have computations for that. Especially, for example, when I was still with GMA, no, if they stop advertising for certain amounts, a certain number of months, they actually know exactly how much sales they're actually going to lose. And you can even ask them, if you don't move, where will you be at the end of the year? Try to ask them those questions, no? So that they can also think as well, 'di ba? Because they actually have the numbers, you don't, but at least to somehow make them think about it, right? And then, of course, yet is not never. No, a no now is not a no forever. So the clients who are actually saying, hindi na muna, are not really rejecting you. They're just really responding to a moment that will pass. Okay? So that is state. Okay, so if you can, take a screenshot of this, that will be great because later on, I want you to also do this on your own. But first, we will do this together. Okay, so for example, you have your biggest client. No? So this is meet your client. This is your not just any client, but your biggest client, your biggest account. Na dito nakasalala yung future mo. Yung target mo always goes up every year, and if hindi sila nag-spend, ano mo yung patay ka na. So you have a real relationship with this client, but lately you see how the orders are shrinking, the replies are slowing down, and then when you finally give them a call, ito yung sinabi sa'yo. I value working with you, no, JC, but we've been hit hard, eh. Fuel prices or costs are really through the roof, and management really just froze the budget. We're just really trying to protect what we have. So let's revisit when things actually settle. Na-feel nyo yun? Alam mo yun, honestly, in this moment, when I hear something like this, my whole body wants to push. You want really to push it, but this is exactly when stay actually matters the most. So watch how I'd run it for this particular scenario, and then later I will hand it to you. Okay, so this is the scenario, okay? So how do we show up first? Remember, showing up means you don't pitch anything first. You connect first with them, human to human. Oh, hi, I'm not actually calling about an order. I'm not here for that, really. I just really wanted to check in, because I know that we're going through something. Kumusta na kayo? Kumusta na yung business natin? How's everything? Right? Not pushing, right? No pitching, just really human and just really being curious, right? That one question actually is more than you sharing, a deck with all of those statistics. Just really showing up first. That's the first step. Next is this. Testing the real constraint. Remember, we want to uncover exactly what is happening because the default answer is budget is frozen. So, and then they say, ayun nga budget is actually frozen. Yung sasabihin nila sila. Okay, so I completely understand. Can I ask, is the budget frozen across the board, or is it only applicable to new orders? Another thing that you can ask is it applicable only to this particular category? Or na-deprioritize lang ba itong particular area na to? And then the budget is actually somewhere else. You want to be able to test the real constraint because you also want to know how you can be useful. Kasi sometimes the budget, minsan, meron lang na de-prioritize, especially if there's a crisis or if they're going through something. Minsan, may napupunta sa bigger brand, or minsan may napupunta sa area na to because this area is stronger, things like that. You can actually ask them questions, and it's free to ask questions, no? And really, really listening really to understand, you know? Okay, and then the next one is to adjust the ask. So earlier we talked about shrinking the ask, selling the protection, surfacing the cost, you know? So these are things that you can actually put in your pocket so that anytime you're in a conversation, you can ask them this. So here in this situation, I will say, can I ask, what does pausing entirely actually cost you? Like, where will you see yourself at the end of the year if you actually pause for 6 months? What if we just kept like a small, steady arrangement going? For example, if you have been spending, let's say, for example, 100, 100 pesos per month, maybe we can just keep it at a lower cost per month, just so nothing strains the budget and you're also able to protect the momentum that you've built. Because for clients, it's also hard for them to just completely stop. Because remember, these are businesses. They cannot really stop like zero for a long time, lest they're going to close their shop, right? So you want to give them that idea that it's also okay, instead of going 100%, to just go like what, 20, 30 per month, just so there's something happening so that they don't have to build momentum from ground up again. All right. So that is adjusting the ask. Okay. And then, yet it's not never. So a no now is not a no forever, right? So this is just a moment in time that will actually eventually pass. So what you want to say to them is, honestly, no pressure at all. I'll just check in now. And then, not to sell, but just really to stay in touch. And then when things settle, I'm right here. Sometimes kasi when I've experienced this, no. I have clients who don't want me always going to their office when nothing is happening. Did that, sound something that you can relate to? Kasi they also feel pressure when you're there, and they have nothing to give you. Nahihiya sila, which is very Filipino, no? So what I do when that happens is I send them emails, and especially if, let's say, I know their category, for example, snacks category. If I find any article that I feel will be useful for them, I just send it, hey, I saw this article, maybe this can be useful for you. It's just, keeping your presence steady so that anytime something opens up, right, they will actually think of you first. Okay, so that is stay. So again, show up first, right? Before you pitch anything, connect with them first. Test the real constraint. If budget is frozen, that is their default. So try to really ask them further questions to really check exactly where the constraint is coming from. Adjusting the ask, right? There are three things that you can do: shrinking the ask, sell the protection, surfacing the cost. Yet is not never. So a no now is not forever. So if you can just make them feel that you're just there anytime there is a requirement, then that's going to be great. Okay. So ayan. So any questions about the framework so far? Okay, so kung wala, I'd like to ask you also to do it on your own in the chat, no? So same kind of situation, but maybe it's going to be a fresh one, so you can really start practicing, not copying me. And I want you to answer it not with a stranger, but really thinking of a real client in your head. You know, picture their face, you know, if you've got someone, not so that it's better para yung labas din ng mga linya nyo is mas tailored sa kanila. Okay? So, for example, this is the situation. A client you've served well for 2 years, for example, their contract is usually for renewal every month. No? And normally it's just automatic. But this time, they actually have gone quiet. So no reply to your last two messages, pero usually responsive. So when you finally reach them, they say, we're reviewing all our expenses right now, and everything's under the microscope. We might need to pause or scale down. Let's talk after the review. Okay, so this is your situation. So can you drop in the chat how you will open the conversation? What is your opening line after you hear this? Okay, the human one, okay, not the pitch. Can you share that in the chat? Think of how you will open. What will be your first line if this is what they tell you? Normally, nagre-renew lang to automatic. Pero ngayon, they're still reviewing all their expenses right now. So what are you gonna say? What is your show up first opening line? Okay, I'll wait for your answers. Oh, there's one question here from Jani Villador. What 1 to 2 factors, while you guys are putting in your show up first line, let me answer this. What 1 to 2 factors determine whether a business can remain profitable during crisis? I don't want to pretend that I'm an expert when it comes to, you know, making your business profitable. Our topic is really more about how we actually deal with that when they are going through a crisis. Johnny, did I answer that correctly? Right. And then your next question is, how can companies balance profit making with social responsibility during a crisis? Again, I don't want to say that I'm an expert when it comes to profit making in the business. No, so let's, if we can keep the discussion about really, you know, keeping the conversations going when there's a crisis, you know, understanding that your client is undergoing a crisis and the same with you, then that will be very helpful. Okay. All right. So any opening line that you can share in the chat on how you will actually show up first after this conversation with your client? Na normally, ayan, okay. All right. So, oh, also Johnny was the one who, the fastest finger now. I notice you're taking a closer look at the renewal this year. We totally understand, and we are with you every step of the way. Just let us know how it can be of help. Yeah. You know, very human, very genuine, right? Oh, Kevin, I understand where you're coming from, especially in this economy. Is there a specific area that your management team would be interested to know more about? Yeah, you actually want them to give you more details so that you can determine exactly how to position yourself in that conversation. Michelle, for hotel sales. I completely understand, sir. Thank you for sharing this with me. Since you're currently reviewing expenses, may I ask what factors are most important in your evaluation, right? You know, asking them exactly what they're looking for is also a good strategy, you know, because you want to actually get the data from them. And then I'd love to better understand your priorities and explore options that can help you achieve your goals while still supporting your accommodation requirements. Exactly. Right. Because all of these things, all of the things that you actually asked, Michelle, you wanted to come from them. so that you know exactly what you're trying to solve, right? And you are able to better position yourself in that conversation. Okay, Alvar Lamosta said, I learned that everything is under review. Okay, let me know how I can best support while you evaluate the option, right? Making sure that you are, you're just there while they're still reviewing, So yeah, those are just some of the things, and I love all of that. It is in your own voice, There's really no perfect way to actually put this together because we are coming from different industries and we have different contexts. So that's great. How about this one? Testing the real constraint, asking more questions to really surface what the budget constraint is really. If it's a timing issue or approval issue, that question that gets under we're reviewing expenses. Can you put it in the chat? How do you actually get them to tell you what does under reviewing expenses mean? So I'll be waiting for your but it's nice, no? We're already learning how to do it, no? You show up first, and then after that you test the real constraint. It's really all about making them give you more data, if you think about it, right? Showing up first, meaning starting to just tell them to open up, and then testing the real constraint and just really trying to uncover exactly where they are in terms of budget. So those are the two first steps, really asking the client to talk more, right? For you to also listen more so that you can actually position yourself well in that conversation. Any any brave souls to put in their line? Oh, there you go. Kevin, I know the HR budget is under scrutiny right now. Is management asking about the return on previous engagement to guide this year's investment? Right. So you're just trying to ask, is it about this, about the return on the previous engagement so that we can move forward? You're actually asking them how we will move forward. Yeah, okay. This one is also nice. Hi, curious lang. Very simple yung kay Sharon. Do you know when ang end date ng review? Right, because you actually also want to know the timeline. That's also very smart, Sharon. And then Jani, I understand many companies are being cautious right now. Help me understand what changed internally since your last renewal. Oh, that's a very smart, very smart way of going at it, no? Because remember, our context is this client is renewing month on month, no? And then all of a sudden, biglang hindi nag-renew. So maybe there's something that actually changed internally before since their last renewal. So that's great. Jobel, thank you for your honesty and transparency. I understand the budget pressure you're facing right now. Before discussing renewals, I'd like to better understand your current priorities and see how we can continue supporting you in a way that fits your situation. You're really trying to now not just being a vendor, but being actually an advisor now or a consultant because you're trying to get more information from them, really saying na, we just want to be able to help you. Okay, so that's great. Now, next, adjusting the ask. This one is also, like a strategy because sometimes we think as sales, kailangan kukunin nila yung binigay mo, yung proposal mo. But really, there are other ways, there are more creative ways really to sell, right? So if you're asking them to put in on 100, so there are actually ways to get 10 every month until you reach 100, right? So those are just some of the things that I shared with you, yung shrinking the ask, selling the protection, and surfacing the cost. So if you have, your lines for that, what smaller step would you actually offer to this particular client who always just really renews? Bonus if you frame it around what they'd actually protect, sell the protection, if you can actually do that. But yeah, if you can put in your adjust the ask line, then that would be great. All right. Okay, so just Try to think of that na, from asking them questions, showing up, and then testing the real constraint. Now you're trying to adjust because you acknowledge that they're going through a certain situation right now. Oh, one answer here from Albert. Can you share what is the main constraint? Perhaps we can move around or explore options or revisit some aspects before discussing renewal. Yeah, you can actually do that too, no? Really trying to get more details so that you can also adjust the ask based on what they will share with you. All right, thank you, Albert. Is there anything else? Any brave souls to to tell us how you intend to adjust the ask for this particular client? If none, we can move on to the last one. Oh, there's another one. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Well, I completely understand. A lot of organizations are having to make difficult decisions right now, and I can imagine the pressure that you're under. My goal isn't to make things harder or push you into a commitment you're not comfortable with. I'd simply like to understand your situation better and see if there's a way we can support you while minimizing risk for your team. Yeah. So telling them that you're there to, help them and minimize, the risk for them. Remember, because we want to make sure that they feel that we're lowering the risk for them. That's great. And then Michelle also said, while your review is ongoing, perhaps we can maintain your corporate rates and revisit the full agreement after the evaluation period so you won't lose the benefits that you've been enjoying. So that's also nice because sometimes no pagka hindi na nag-renew, tinatanggal na yung corporate rate. So here you're actually telling them that, oh, we're giving you a little bit more extra because we're acknowledging that we're going through something. But maybe after the evaluation period, no, we can actually talk again so that you don't lose your current rates, right? Your current benefits. So I hope that I got that right, Michelle Isla. Okay, so thank you. So those are just, a lot of versions of stay if you look at it, no? So everyone in your voice and really for your own clients. And that's the whole point. There's really no one perfect script that we can actually use. And these four moves said the way that you can actually say them, warmly. All right. So you just did the entire framework. Okay. So one last move, guys, aside from oh, sorry, meron pa palang yet. I got ahead of myself. Yet is not never. Okay. A no now is not a no forever. So you just want to make them feel that you're just right there. Okay. Anytime that that requirement props up, you're there. So how do you make your client feel that? Right? How do you make them feel that you're just there, anytime? Because sometimes kasi the products that we are actually selling may not necessarily fit the client at that particular time, right? It also happens. And when that happens, you try to sell them the product, and then when that happens, you have to be also honest with them, knowing exactly na, oh, okay. So I understand that right now, this is not for you, right? This product may not be applicable to you, but maybe in the future, if there's a requirement that props up, right? So maybe you can let me know. Just like what Sharon here said, thanks for letting me know. No pressure. I'll be right here when you're ready to renew. All right. Another thing, no, aside from the stay framework, I also like to give you this one last move. Very small, but it really changes everything. There's a difference between putting pressure and curiosity. Sometimes kasi when we think that we're phrasing it in a question manner, feeling natin we're trying to be curious about the situation. But I want you to see the difference. Okay. So for example, on price, you can say this, is there any room if I lower the price? If you say this in this way, it actually puts pressure. You just made it about discounting. But if you really want to sound like you're curious, you say, help me understand, is it the price itself or the timing of the spend? that's what you're saying no to. You get me, right? Those are two ways to actually ask about the price, but the other one lands better because you're trying to get more information if it's really the price that they're saying no to, or it's just really wrong timing. Another pressure versus curiosity, just so you know the difference. No, ongoing quiet. This puts pressure when you actually ask, just following up again, any update, and then this is already your fifth follow-up. So that really puts pressure on your client. So the way to actually tweak it so that it comes across as you're curious. I don't want to chase you. Is now a bad time or is something else getting in the way? Right. So that doesn't really, put a lot of pressure in your client. Doesn't feel like you're nagging or what. And then last example on competition, when you say, what can I do to win your business back? That actually makes it all about you. So it puts pressure on your client. But if it's out of curiosity, you may want to tweak it a little bit and say, what did the other option give you that made it feel like it's a safer choice? You're also asking for data from them, asking them for points for improvement because you acknowledge that you lost to someone else. Right? And that's okay. I mean, that happens to the best of us. So why don't you ask, what was it in that proposal that made you say yes? And that, you'll be surprised. Sometimes, akala mo hindi nila sasagutin, but they will actually indulge you. And that's great because you will have something to work with, moving forward. Those will give you points for improvement. So notice the pattern, right? When it's pressure, it backs people into a corner, and a scared person in a corner will always say no. So curiosity opens the door and really invites them through it with you. So same goal, but you leave a completely different feeling with the client. And the feeling that you want to leave with the client is they feel safe with you, right? They can actually open up with you, right? Okay. All right. So that's pressure versus curiosity. Is that something useful for you guys? How about a thumbs up if that's something that's useful for you? Really knowing the difference between pressure and curiosity. Okay, thank you very much for all of that thumbs up. Now, I don't want to just leave you guys with the 4 moves and then after this, nothing happens. I want you to make this session count. So if you can go to your Mentimeter, the Menti code is flashed on the screen, the QR code is right there. Share that one move from Stay that you will use in your next conversation. I want to know. Or maybe the curiosity versus pressure, if that is something that will be useful for you, that's something that you will use in your next conversation, why not? But if there is just one move that's really stuck with you from the Stay framework, what is it? And I hope to hear it from you guys. All right. Okay, show up first. Yeah. No, instead of starting with your pitch, this time around you actually show up first. Ask about the context first. Oh, very useful. Pressure versus curiosity. Yes. Because sometimes we think now when we're asking question, we're already being curious, but there's a difference. Show up first. I think we forget to empathize with our clients first. They're struggling as much as we are. That's great, really understanding that they're also going through something, right? It's not just about our quota. It's not just about our sales all the time, right? Anything else? Adjusting the ask. Yes, that's also one of the power moves that you can actually do because, zero sales, a small sale is still a sale. that's that's me, that's my mantra. A small sale is still a sale. So if you can adjust it, be more creative with it, why not? All moves are essential, therefore mastering the framework is necessary in the sales business. All right. Thank you very much for that. Anything else? We can wait for another one. I'm so proud of this room, because the things that we're putting up here are your decisions. right? You're actually making it loud and really making everyone see it. So that's your decision. And that's something that you want to do in your next conversation. And that part really sticks. Okay. So yeah, last one. Yet is not never. The phrase "a no now is not a no forever." I believe there will always be a time for everything. Still no pressure. And I want to build good working connections first and not hard sell my products. Okay, so let's go back. Thank you very much for all of those responses. So let's go back again. Here and okay. If there's anything, if you forget all of the framework, all of the STAY, that's okay. If there's anything that I want you to remember from this session, it's this. Before you explain a single thing, okay, about your product, ask one question first about their world and then listen. Genuinely listen. Don't rush to fill the silence. Just connect before you convince, because that's the one habit that is the beginning of every move in stay. Now, if everything that we did today really comes back to one idea, even in a crisis when your people are actually, you know, um, your people already have what it takes, whether it's a skill, the resilience, the relationship, none of that really disappeared when things got hard. Sometimes they just need, someone to help them remember, right? And that's exactly what we do here in Positive Workplaces. Our programs are really grounded in positive psychology so that we don't just sharpen your skills like selling or client conversations. We also help your team reconnect with your strengths so that you can show up with confidence under pressure. So whether it's sales or marketing or something built around mindset or resilience, we really shape it around where your team actually is. So if today really resonated with you and you'd love your team to actually feel this way, you can also talk to us, connect with us. You can email me, and that's the only pitch that I have for today. Okay, so we've been here right before, right? The crisis, we've gotten through the pandemic. You've gotten through it. You've powered through so many problems before, right? Even before um, this session. So I want you to remember that when a client says, hindi muna, again, just like what you said in the Mentimeter, a no now is not a no forever. And if there's anything that I want you to carry out here from this session, the relationships that you actually protect today are the accounts that you will close tomorrow. So that's it. Just to wrap things up, I just really want to say thank you for spending your time with me today. Okay, so you can still connect with me. I don't want our connection to end with this webinar. You can still connect with me. I'm in LinkedIn. You can also email me if you found the framework very useful for you. I also made a cheat sheet. We don't have any time anymore, but I have a stay and 5 common situations. And if you want a copy of it, I can share it with you with no catch. It's just my way of saying thank you for being here today. All right. So thank you very much. If I guess I'll hand it over now to Gabby if there are questions that we need to answer. Gabby.
Yes, thank you so much, JC. I'm pretty sure that our positive leaders really learned a lot from the STAY framework. Actually, even in our chat sa core group ni Positive Workplaces, they were reflecting on what they have been doing, and at the same
Right.
time, ay parang ginagawa ko to, but I can be more
Yes,
intentional about it.
that's
So,
right. It's
ayan.
all about being intentional. That's correct.
Yes. So we are now heading over to our question and answer portion. So again, we invite you to click on the link that we sent in the chat box or scan the QR code you can see on the screen, or just simply open a new browser tab and type in pigeonhole.at and type in the passcode PW selling. And I think you were able to answer the first one
Yeah.
already, right? So maybe
Yeah.
while we're waiting for the next one,
Yeah, I think even the
even the
second
second one.
one, yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. So please feel free to put in your questions here, or you can just simply send them in the chat box.
Mhm.
And while we're waiting, siguro, ang isa ko pang tanong,
Yeah.
is there a situation na talagang sobrang you are proud of handling apart from what you already shared
Hmm.
related to the topic we had, related to
The
using the same
saying,
framework? Yeah. Na parang,
yeah,
oh my God, hindi ko alam na ito na pala yung ginagamit ko that time.
yeah. Aside from what I shared during the pandemic, I remember
Yeah.
also coming up with so many other things that's non-TB related as well. There are some things that you really have to do for your clients, going out of your way just to have um, presence all throughout. Kasi your presence actually with them, not necessarily just always selling, your steady presence actually means a lot to them. So that the moment that, something comes up,
Mhm.
you're the first person that they actually remember. I remember this real estate agent. So for those who are from real estate, maybe you can relate to this. So this person, I don't know this person, but for some reason got my email, kept on emailing me, I think for like more than a year on this particular property. And then voila, I don't really reply. So if it's something that doesn't concern me, or it's not something that, um that is important, I don't really reply. So, but there came a time when I wanted to actually invest. So I'm like, I actually want to invest in this particular property. Oh, I remember there was this person who kept on popping in my inbox, but I never really replied to this person.
Yeah.
And then because that moment came when I have a requirement for his product, and that's when I contacted him. So it was really nice because, sometimes we feel like when we're doing something over and over, parang wala namang mangyayari dito. But,
Yeah.
when you keep at it, when you're just really being present, just really staying,
Mhm.
right? At one point it will come. And that's what happened to my real estate broker.
Wow,
So,
that's so nice. I'm pretty sure maraming nakaka-relate doon because
yeah.
sometimes you do a lot of things already to remind your clients that, hey, we're here. And parang hindi mabilis yung translation nung um, closes or leads. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
So it can become discouraging, but I think that story also shows na there is hope. We
Yes,
just really need
oo.
to.
Oo, we just think na walang nangyayari, pero actually meron. Alam mo yun, na naaalala ka.
That's
For as
true.
long as you were present, maaalala ka nila. Okay? So
Yes.
there's one question.
Yeah, we
What
can
is,
start answering this because I'm pretty sure na some markets are already saturated. So, what is the best way to sell a product or service na either hindi pa kilala or sobrang dami nyo namang nagbibigay ng ganong service or product?
yeah.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Jay.
yeah, okay. So when it comes to this, I'm not really an expert when it comes to this, no, but the way I saw it with my clients, for example, because all of them are advertisers, they're the ones actually trying to capture their market. The way they do it is they actually try to see where their target market is. So basically that. So for example, the story that I shared with you earlier about the pandemic, before we used to be TV centric, and then all of a sudden the audiences moved elsewhere, like YouTube, or let's say socials, TikTok, and all of that. They also started to move where the audience is. So that's really, I guess, the best way to really sell a product, especially if hindi kilala, no, to go where your audience is. So it's not necessarily just TV. Like, for example, if your audience or your target is on the ground, let's say in supermarkets, then you have to be
Yeah.
there so that they get to see you and they get to interact with the product.
Yeah, so parang ang important step dun is to really know who your target market and your audience is,
Yes,
so you know where you will position yourself.
that's right.
Yes. Yeah, and so the top voted question is, what is the biggest mistake organizations make when trying to sell during a crisis?
Biggest mistake, yeah, I think I touched on that earlier. It's really just pushing, without really acknowledging what we are currently going through. Because that's the first thing. When you're selling, you want to be able to make your clients feel a certain way. The feeling actually is the one that stays, more than the decks, more than your pitches. The one that actually stays with them is the feeling that they have with you. So if we are all going through a crisis and you don't acknowledge that they are going through a crisis, then that's what they will feel and that's what will stick. You
Mm,
get me? So
yeah.
I think, yeah, when we're all going through something, we acknowledge it. And then, yeah, just like what the framework says, you listen to them, show up first, you test the constraint, and you adjust. Because adjusting means you're acknowledging that they're going through something. And then just letting them know that you're going to be there anytime, they need you.
Yeah, I love how you emphasize that, and even in the stay framework, 'di ba? Yan yung pinakaunang ano natin, unang letter natin. But maybe my follow-up question to that is how can we maintain authenticity? Because it's also true that even if we show up and we let them know that we care, parang sometimes alam nila na meron tayong reason for reaching out. So it
Yes.
might be difficult to balance authenticity versus our own personal interest
Yeah.
in connecting with the client. Do you have any tips to find the sweet spot between that?
Me, in the years that I've been selling, no, I just really remain curious. I
Curious.
think that's, it goes across all industries. When you're curious, you're really just asking questions and
Mhm.
asking questions to really listen to
Yeah.
their answer. Sometimes kasi we listen, but we're trying to already compose what we're gonna say,
Yeah.
what we're gonna reply.
That's true.
But
That's
but
true.
really listening, truly listening, active listening, yeah, that's the term for that. Active listening and just really feeling it with them.
Yeah.
Right? Kasi we all have feelings. I mean, we're all humans naman eh. So when you actually ask them questions and they open up with you and then they share whatever it is that they're going through, you will actually feel it if you listen to them na, okay, if I were in their shoes, this is what I'm gonna feel. And then maybe this is the best possible way we can handle this together. Because the
Mhm.
way you actually have to look at your clients is that you're also trying to help them with their business. That's my mindset when I'm
That's true.
selling.
That's true.
Yeah, so you want them to grow their business because if
Mhm.
they grow their business, they will also grow with you, 'di ba? Yung requirements din nila lalaki kasi lumaki din sila eh. So I love actually working with smaller brands, with SMEs because
Yeah.
it's nice you can actually see the progression, no, when you especially when you handhold them pa, tas hindi pa nila alam yung gagawin nila up to the time na they have already grown, and they're already on their own. So you can actually see how they progress. So it's really about helping the other person on the other line so that they can also help you grow as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So it's really curiosity and asking the right questions. And maybe
Yeah.
we can have one more na very related to that. So what if you do ask the questions, pero napapansin mo na the client is not willing to share the true reason for their hesitation? How can you still turn this into a productive conversation?
If they're not willing, I wouldn't force it.
Mhm.
Sometimes kasi it's just a matter of time. Alam mo yon, parang there are some things that actually fixes themselves if you just give it time. So if they're not yet ready to actually share it with you, then that's completely fine. I mean, that's their decision, right? So just let them know right? Just let them know that you're there whenever they're ready to share
Yeah.
what they're going through. You're just there.
Yes, so I'm hearing a lot of compassion also.
Yeah.
Let's give them space to process it. And
Yes.
then eventually, as time passes and they really see the need for your service, they will eventually
Yep.
reach out.
Yes, they will seek you out.
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much, JC, for sharing with us your experience
Of
and
course.
really your expertise given your background in sales. And I'm pretty sure that tanong nga natin, can you give us a thumbs up if you learned a lot of things today that you are very much excited to
Yeah.
apply when you go back to work or when you go back to talking or speaking with your clients. So we're seeing a lot of thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yan. Maraming salamat. Thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
time. And we
Yes,
hope that
I
you
enjoyed.
correct. We hope that you continue applying the STAY framework. And to show our appreciation for spending time with us and sharing your expertise, JC, we'd love to present to you the certificate of appreciation. So let
Wow.
me just read the citation. So this certificate is issued to Jan Christine JCS Enares for generously providing their time and expertise as a resource speaker for the webinar Selling in Crisis: Practical Moves for Filipino Sales Teams When Budgets Are Tight, held on the 24th of June 2026, signed by our Chief Enabling Officer John Baluyot and our Chief Wellbeing Officer Nikki Vergara. Thank
Thank
you so much, JC.
you.
Any
Thank you
last
so
words
much.
you would like
Um,
to leave with our positive leaders today?
just go and sell. Go and sell. No, kailangan magbenta pag kasi sales kasi go, go, go lang eh. So just keep at it, connect before anything else, before your pitch. I guess that's it. And stay curious. Yeah.
Yes, connect and stay curious before pitching anything. So thank you so much, JC. I know this has been a month or more in the making, and we're happy that we finally were able to mount this webinar and share it with our positive leaders. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. So just a few reminders before we give out the evaluation form. Again, thank you for joining us this month with our webinars team under pressure, leading and working through uncertainty. So we hope you were able to learn how to take care of yourselves, your organizations in terms of mental health, and of course, applying a very important skill of selling in a crisis that we're all experiencing right now. So if you enjoyed our content and if you want to continue your learning journey, we have the following training courses or public courses coming up. So part of our leadership development series is data storytelling and insighting this coming July 16, effective business presentation this coming September 23, and of course, personal self-mastery this coming November 18. So kindly scan the QR code you can see on the screen and we'll be sharing you some links so that you can also check out what this course is all about. And for those joining us in the government, 2,800 po siya. And for those regular attendees, it's gonna be an investment fee of 6,500. And if you want to continue receiving email updates or tips on how to spread the ripples of positivity inside your organization, you can also join our newsletter by scanning the QR code you can see on the screen or click on the links that you can see in the chat box. And I'm sure you are all waiting for the post-evaluation form. So you can now scan the QR codes under the name, under the surname where your surname falls, or you can just click on the link that Kathy shared or Sab shared in our chat box. Again, remember 10, yung title ng inattendan yung webinar. When you type in your name and email address, please be very, very careful. Do a double or triple check before clicking submit. And if you have any questions or any concerns regarding the evaluation forms or the certificates, again, kindly send us an email at engage@positiveworkplaces.org. Again, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We hope that you learned a lot and we hope to see you all next month. Maraming salamat! We will be closing the room at 4:35. So please take a screenshot or save the links of the evaluation forms as bookmarks so that you can still answer them up to 30 minutes after this call. So we're going to be closing the forms at 5 o'clock p.m. Again, thank you so much for joining us this month. We're going to post the next webinars in our social media pages. So please feel free to like, follow, and subscribe so that you will be updated in our next events. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ha.